Okay.
They want me to do this.
Okay.
As long as she knows it's kind of
Yeah,
All right, I'll have you right beside the bike stand.
which side?
This side. I'll have you covering up the sleeve and pay the meter.
Okay.
just to have me here since it's his first time.
They want him to do a team setup, so.
Stacy? Tell her.
We're going to skip
You're
it.
gonna be honest with no better than me. I got that one off, because I'm nothing else. There, I think they're not doing any press but it's gonna be all.
4 minutes away from our hit.
Okay.
Brian and me were here inside the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. That's where the Secretary of the Navy is taking a tour with Senator Susan Collins, Senator Maine, and Senator Susan of New Hampshire. You may remember a couple of weeks ago.
They should be here in about 5 minutes.
Okay. 1 minute till ours.
Okay.
Hi, Brian and Amanda. Yeah, that's right. Senator Susan Collins, Senator Angus King, and Senator Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire, all going to be here, actually here right now at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery. They're wrapping up a tour with the Secretary of the Navy because this is his first visit to a public shipyard since assuming that role. You may remember back in February that Senator Shaheen and Senator Collins sent a joint letter to the Department of the Navy asking that shipyards like these be exempt from any of that civilian hiring freeze that was going on a couple of months ago. No doubt that's been part of the discussions with the Secretary today as they show him around and get a tour of this location. We're expecting to hear from the senators coming up in just a few moments. And as soon as we have that, we'll bring it to you later tonight on News Center Maine at 5 and 6. Thanks.
I'll cut you off, just talk.
I'm sorry.
Like if you're gonna, talk. Okay. 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 Wait, I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Nope. It's very different, like if you are looking at the bridge, if you go left or to the right, you know, but
One, two, three. This is the podium to show 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, they don't, so just the shipyard asks that we trying to make sure you guys aren't gonna have squinty time.
It's either that or
Dark
dark
shadows.
side.
I know. you've been here for, I think, quite a bit today. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm curious how this is all going to play out. But at tight on time.
Yeah, like the live for the.
National Kickball Day. Oh yeah, I think she'll take that one. Starting as a week. I just never know.
They just said it in our ear.
Oh, that's fun. We're usually, we have to put them on numbers. We're usually pretty good about being on top of it.
You know what I mean?
Or like health benefits tracking thing.
How bad would the lighting be if you guys shift 1 foot or 2 to the left? I just think that you're gonna get, yeah, I think you're just, if you're right here, you're gonna get a lot of squinty senators. Can we turn it a foot or 2? That works? Can we push that way?
Which way you want to go? That way?
If we like spin it.
Hold on.
I don't want to break your stuff. I just think if we're on an angle, you're gonna get less
Okay. So more that way?
No, she's saying slide everybody over
turn,
this
yeah.
way.
Oh.
So like they'll be where I am
Okay.
right now. Can we make that work?
Well, let's not have 'em behind the tree there. Okay.
If we're here?
Yeah.
Does that work for you guys? Okay. I just think that way you're gonna get. No, you're good. Come on. There's spots over here.
I got you, Steve. I got it.
There's gonna be a lot of other coming in the next like 20 minutes. Just
Okay.
stuff.
Thank
So
you.
guys know.
We're gonna be here for like 10 more minutes
Okay,
and then
cool.
leave.
I just wanted to let you know. It's
Yes,
gonna be,
no,
like,
I
a minute.
appreciate it. Does this work? They're gonna be a lot happier with you being this direction versus straight into the sun.
take it.
Can you tell us a little bit? Let's lower that down.
Yeah, that's
Right in
just
front.
what.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
You had it at your side.
I know. It's funny. We just
Exactly.
talked about it too. It's good to see you again.
Thank
I'm
you.
Chris, by the way.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Let's see, Jack, is that working for you?
Okay.
Senators, can you tell us a little bit about what you talked about with the secretary on this tour?
First, let me say that it was a great pleasure for us to welcome the new Secretary of the Navy to our nation's oldest and best shipyard. It was great to have him here. We talked about a wide range of issues, including workforce issues. Senator Shaheen and I worked very closely together to get an exemption for this yard from the hiring freeze that has been applied to many agencies. We talked about the impact of the deferred resignation program on the yard and the importance of ensuring that we do not lose expert workers by giving them an incentive to retire early. I was very encouraged by the reaction of the Secretary of the Navy. He was impressed with what he saw. He took the time to meet with workers from the yard, and he saw the tremendous work that has been done on the infrastructure here, which Senator Shaheen and I've worked on for years in investing more than $2 billion so that the shipyard can overhaul and refuel 2 Virginia-class submarines at the same time, and maybe eventually 3. That will help with the tremendous backlog and maintenance that the Navy has.
Yes, I would echo that. We also talked about infrastructure and the challenges with not just completing the shipyard optimization plan, the investments that we're making in the dry dock and other facilities here at the yard, but also the importance of parking so that workers can get to their jobs, of childcare, of housing, all of the things that it takes to make sure we have a workforce that is able to do the job. And we talked about the importance of expanding shipbuilding throughout the United States so that we're competitive. And obviously, in order to do that, one of the real advantages we have over our Chinese competitors is our fast attack submarines. And to keep those submarines out and operating, it is places like the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard that are doing that. So I was very pleased with the Secretary's response, just like Senator Collins said. He seemed very impressed with what he saw and had ideas for how we can make this yard even more productive and efficient.
Senators, there have been a lot of changes to the tariff policies that have kind of gone over the past couple of months. Is there any concern about the cost of a tariff on the materials needed to build the machines that are built here at the Naval Shipyard?
Well, we talked about the challenge of the Commander Oberdorf talked about the challenges that the shipyard is facing with workers, with materiel, and obviously what happens with the cost of materiel because of the tariffs will have an impact. So we raised that with the Secretary, and we all agreed that that's something that we need to watch closely.
There's one other point that I want to make on workforce, and that is for the first time in many years, the shipyard met its hiring goals last year and also had a very high retention rate. So that bodes well for the future also. Your point on tariffs is a good one, particularly the tariffs on aluminum and steel will have an impact, if not as big an impact on on a yard that does maintenance as on a yard that does the construction from scratch.
The President, during his State of the Union, spoke about wanting to create an office of shipbuilding. Was there any talk today about how Portsmouth Naval Shipyard could be involved in that, if at all?
We didn't talk about that with respect to the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. We did talk about the importance of shipbuilding and, of course, of maintenance to those ships so that if we're going to be building more, we need to make sure that we're able to maintain them, and that's what the shipyard is best at. And the Secretary pointed out that there were lessons learned here that are going to be important for other shipyards, or other public shipyards. And I was pleased to hear that. I thought that showed how impressed he had been by the conversations he had here in the briefing here.
You both mentioned how crucial the shipyard is to our defense and also our economy. Can you talk a little bit about those goals you were talking about with the Navy and the Secretary of Navy about veterans and making the shipyard more valuable and those assets?
Well, I think one of the encouraging facts is the shipyard has about 6,800 employees currently, and the projection out into the future is that that number would grow by almost 1,000 workers to 7,700 employees. So the future of the shipyard is very bright, and I think the Secretary was, as Senator Shaheen has said, was very impressed with what he saw. We need to build up our Navy. That is a bipartisan goal. China is far surpassing us in the number of ships and submarines. Our fleet is now about 296, and China is heading in the next decade to having a fleet of 400. So being able to keep our submarines out there rather than waiting for maintenance or to be overhauled or refueled is absolutely essential to the success of our fleet.
Thanks, guys. We've got time for one more question.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Senator, I just wanted to ask you very quickly. A couple of days ago, you had put out a statement about how you felt about the Title IX proceedings going on between the federal government and our state. Has any of your position changed given the increased attention and effort by the federal government to pursue that in terms of a lawsuit?
Well, first let me say that I think transgender people should be treated with the utmost respect. I agree that Title IX, however, was intended to expand and provide opportunities for girls and women to participate in competitive sports, opportunities that did not exist when I was in high school. So I'm a strong supporter of the original intent of Title IX, and I do not think that it is fair or safe to allow biological boys or men to participate and to compete against girls and women in competitive sports.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Just let me add, that doesn't mean that I think that the federal government should be cutting off funds to the state of Maine. That's an important point.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Blake, thank you.
Bye. I'll see you.
I wanted to make sure you got a chance to ask the question. Yeah, I think the obviously those, but the other part of the kind of an issue. Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry that it didn't.
I was like,
I wanted to look at you and make sure you got a chance, but yeah.
appreciate it.
We had ESP going on. That was good.
Yes.
What is it?
No, yeah, we should